Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Purple Mountain Live from myself and Stephen at the Purple Mountain. And we're really excited today. We've got a special guest who's joining us, Ayla Schafer. She's a singer, songwriter, ceremonial musician. And we're just so pleased you could join us today. Hi, Ayla.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, you're really welcome. It's a pleasure. So we're just going to wait and see if who's going to join us. Just want to welcome everybody who's going to join us for this chat, and I'm sure it's just going to be really enjoyable and enlightening as well. And I'd just like to start off. Yeah, I've always like to start with asking our guests about their journey, because I feel an individual's journey can be very inspiring to others. And our experiences and what we go through and the processes we go through to find ourselves. So I was just wanted to ask you, first of all, where your journey started.
Well, where it started, I can't necessarily say, because most probably it started before I was even born, in one way or another. But there is a kind of the marking point of my journey, particularly as a musician, and what I like the prayer that's behind my music, I guess. There was a kind of rebirth that happened when I was 22 or something like that. Had been quite freshly out of school, had gone to art college, had decided not to go to university, and started singing my songs in pubs and venues and here and there, acoustic nights and places and festivals, and very, very quickly just found myself just going like, what the hell am I doing, and what is this about? And I'm sitting here opening my heart to bearing my soul with my songs to the people drinking and just talking, and it just, something in me knew like this is not it, but I didn't know anything else existed. This then collided with like some kind of I don't know what to say, like I guess it was a healing crisis, although it didn't feel like it at the time. Like I just entered a very, very dark space. I think probably for the first time in my life that my shadows, like the gremlins, came out from the darkness and they started really, really getting me. But in my I was young, I didn't understand what was going on, so I had a kind of collapse of everything, like stopped singing, stopped writing music, stopped playing, went and lived in Wales and in this forest for a little time with some people, and just had a very dark winter, like dark night of the soul, which there has also been many since. Maybe we go in and out of them. But from that place, I basically was like, I need to do something really radical to shift something, to go with this movement that's happening. So I decided to go to Mexico to join a group of people traveling on horseback, traveling across Mexico like a traveling circus. I was like, that sounds really wild.
That's for me.
It caught my heart, the horses and the foreign land and the freedom, and I just was able to listen to that feeling. It was so clear and so strong, and I think through my desperation I was able to take such a wild leap. So I went there thinking I'd just be gone for a few months, and I stayed away for 2 years. I was away for 2 years, which was really unexpected. And my journey in Mexico, I went to Peru also, and then back to Mexico. The time there was like an absolute rebirth. It was like stepping into complete other realities that I had no idea existed. Meeting myself in a way that I didn't know was possible, which was also a lot about meeting my wounds and my trauma and my huge grief that I'd never been able to tap into. Like it was challenging time, but I was held by the traditions and the ceremonies and the prayers and the amazing people that I met. So in Mexico it was the Camino Rojo, the like coming down from the Native American traditions and mixing with the Mexican traditions. Like the way is really about prayer and singing with the drum and the rattle. I've started to sing again after a year and a half of not opening my mouth to sing. Started to sing again from a very simple, pure place. It was like a child again, you know, a little rattle in my hand and learning these songs, speaking another language, hearing people pray, which I'd never heard before other than probably at school, like dear God, blah, 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 amen, which I didn't connect with.
Yeah.
It was epic. I felt like I was on some amazing fairy tale. I felt like every step was really, really guided. I ended up in the desert, eating peyote there, having really profound experience of the medicine of that place and medicine of the land, and then was led to Peru, where I then met the medicines of that land. And yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on really about this story, but I'll maybe let you ask the
I know, it sounds incredible. The only question, well, one of the questions I've got is all this, when it started to come up within you, when you felt this cloud coming up, when did that really start to pass then? When did you feel, you know, this experience I'm having is really lifting what I've been feeling?
That's a really good question. I feel in some way there's two answers to that, because there was a part of me that says, like, in some ways it's not that it ever evaporated. I still have my clouds. I still am in process, which is the same ever unfolding process of excavating my human beingness and my whole story and all of my programming and my traumas, and it goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
But maybe the lifting came, well, actually in that journey, it came from being with the animals, was the beginning of it. From being with the horses, from living with horses and riding horses, and just stepping away from the story that my mind carries and coming back to just a very instinctive, intuitive place. They were my first spiritual teachers, for sure. Profound spiritual teachers. And then from there, it's more like the cloud. Like I was able to live within the cloud and the sun and the rain and the rainbows and all that passes, because of the tools that I found there in Mexico and have continued to walk since that moment.
Yeah, it sounds, I can understand that. It's almost not like it needs to lift, but be embraced as well as part of the journey and experience. And it's still part of us. That makes sense. Yeah. Really, really profound that. So, so what I wanted to ask you as well is, I know a big passion with you is connecting with nature, and something that's similar with myself and Stephen and so many. We talked to a lovely gentleman in Peru last week, Mauro Perez, a visionary artist, and he talked about being one with nature, and I know you're doing a lot of work on that side of it with the plants and the trees and such. So how do you feel we can connect or reconnect back to nature for those listening? And how important is it to you?
Yeah, maybe I'll start with how important it is to me. I feel like ever since I can really remember, probably since a young child, I knew that when I was outside with nature, whatever that was, probably when I was young, it wasn't such wild nature. I lived like in the outskirts of London, but we still had a nature reserve, like a little park and stuff. I just knew that I felt a sense of feeling at home and belonging and calm and like, everything's okay. This, kind of unexplainable feeling. And obviously, as I've got older and become more conscious, even without the consciousness, I've seen that my being has seeked out to be in nature, to be in beauty. And as I have learned more, as I've become more aware and learned ways of being, you know, really coming into my being, I also have found ways to have a deeper relationship with nature, not just okay, I'm going to go sit in that's a nice river and I'll look at it, but like, how am I going to speak with this river, and what am I going to hear? And it's kind of beyond words. I think we probably all know this. Like, it's beyond words how we feel when we're connected with the earth and the sky and the trees and the creatures and this creation. Is because we are it, I feel, is the reason why we feel at home. Or speaking about from myself, I feel at home when I'm in nature because I am brought back home to myself. That is the nature, that I am not separate. I'm brought back home to this remembering and this knowing of I am this earth. I love this earth. I am this earth. It speaks to me. I speak to her because there's one. So the importance of it is like beyond profound and beyond important. And if there's any kind of inspiration that I could offer, I think it's just quite simply to consciously make space for connecting with nature. And that's, like I said, not just going there, but going there really with an intention to listen, and maybe to make an offering. Like, say, if you live somewhere with a beautiful river, you can go, okay, I've got some time today. I'm going to go for an hour by the river. I'm going to take with me a crystal or some honey and some seeds, and go and make an offering. This is one of the old traditions of probably all the lands from everywhere. This dance, this balance of exchange that nature is an absolute master at, and us humans are absolutely awful at it.
Yes.
Even to the point of its spirituality. I'm going to go to nature and I do it myself. I'm going to go to nature, I'm going to receive something, you know, I want help, I want guidance, a song or something. But like, what about if we go to nature and we give some flowers to the water, and we go with that beautiful presence, or we give a song, or we give our presence and our stillness, and really, really bring our beingness to nature. And from there we can open ourselves up to receive. We hear things, you know, we hear words, we receive feelings, we feel better, and it may not come in words. Sometimes it just comes in like, oh wow, I feel so much better, or I feel more connected with myself, or wow, I saw a beautiful bird by the river today and it just gave me hope. Or so making space.
That's a really profound point, I feel, is giving back. So many times I'm thinking now when you're talking, and I think, I've done that. I'll just I've got a lovely beach where I live, 5 minutes away, and I go to, you know, the calm, the peace, and you think, what about giving back? And I think that's something we struggle with sometimes, mankind. But I think that's very inspirational, and making that offerings and everything, you know, everything we receive, we should give back, and everything follows in a lovely circle of life. But just when we're talking about nature, the plants and the trees, and how, I know that's been a huge influence in your music, but how does the process of writing your songs or them coming to you, how does it come? Is it a very fast process? Is it what's the process of it?
You know, it's had to change since having a baby. It has changed ever so slightly. Maybe it's more just the speed has slowed down. But I guess the process is more or less the same. Like, I usually will have some experience that profoundly moves me. So it may be I'm in a really, really difficult, stuck place in myself, or it may be that very, very, very often, probably 80% of my songs come after a ceremony with the plant medicines. Since then, so something very profound has moved within my ocean, and I feel it like moving within, and it has to kind of have an expression. And the first way I do that is I will sit with the pen and the paper, and I'll just write, whatever needs to come out just comes out. And this is very cathartic. Probably many people do this. And then from then I have these words, like this kind of painting of words, and I will start playing the guitar and find some kind of chords, and then I start like, it's like I grab words, I grab little segments, I put them into phrases, and then it just kind of, it's like then the river starts flowing, then I fill out and it pieces together. And before a child, that would happen quite quickly. Within probably 2 days it would be like they just come, and because I have to be in it, I can't really force it afterwards. But now I've learned with Arwen, I've learned, my being has really learned to be able to like press pause, like hold it hold it, come back. But it's a challenge.
and with working with different plant medicines and such, do you find that different inspiration comes in the way they speak, the different plants, that communication?
Yeah, probably. I think there's I mean, for me, my greatest love, or the place that I feel like I really go very profound and really receive deep healing is with ayahuasca. That's kind of feels, maybe because that was like my first, I spent many months in Peru. I don't know, that we speak a language. It seems like we feel there's a similar language. So I think my more softer, there's a softness that comes there, and that will be heard in the songs. But maybe with like the cactus medicines, there's a bit more joy, a bit more energy, a bit more, bit more about like focusing on the light and like. But it's an interesting question.
Yeah, just because at the beginning of our journey of learning, experiencing about plant medicines and ceremonies, I remember I watched a short clip, and it was a shaman in Peru was talking about how the plant taught him a song, and it just intrigued me. That I thought it was amazing, and I still do. But I was just in terms of the different plants, they all have their own voice and the vibration. So yeah, really interesting. And what I wanted to ask, all these questions keep coming.
It's good.
It's just backtracking a little bit, because in terms of your experience, what was your first experience with the medicine song in a ceremony? Can you remember that first, like, oh wow, experience?
Yeah, I have to go just try and trace back. There's actually there's a few that are springing up. They're two different ceremonies. My first peyote ceremony in Mexico, I'm remembering him singing a song, "A la montaña ya me voy," very masculine with the drum and the rattle, and I remember the fire, this huge fire we were sitting around outside it was near the beach. It was like sandy earth and wind and fire, and this amazing song that was like, the drum was like drumming my soul, It spoke. It was like it woke something up. I remember that feeling like I'm being drummed awake, like awakening a memory that I know. That was really vague. I know this fire, I know this drum, I know this rattle, I know these songs, I know this way, this place within myself, and a kind of remembering of my ancestors, like my other lives. There's that moment, and then in Peru it was a very different space. I was in a circle of people who were singing like contemporary modern songs, medicine songs. I don't know what there wasn't so much traditional chants or anything. And I think there it was the first time I'd ever heard music really like that. Like, it was so amazing as a singer and a writer. I don't think it was even really about that in that moment. It was more like that sweetness and the softness and the kindness and the love that it held, in combination, obviously, with the medicine and that space that she holds, and that just absolute dissolving into the medicine of sound and song and the circle that holds it.
Yeah, there's so many words to describe the medicine songs. I feel our first experience was it's actually in a Campbell ceremony with Lewis, who I'm sure he'll be watching, and all this music, and myself and Steve, what was that music? That was like nothing I've ever heard and nothing I've ever felt. And actually, we find ourselves, no disrespect to anybody else out there, but we find it hard to go to music we listened to before maybe as much, because we feel so much now. And we both like going on different platforms and discovering new songs, and wow, I found this one and it's just amazing. I can't wait to hear it in the ceremony when we're all together. So it's just such a special part. And I find it very interesting speaking to a lot of brothers and sisters and shamans who have been over and traveled. It's almost like people come back as musicians, almost like it's a rite of passage in some ways to find your voice. I don't know if that's something you'd agree with.
Well, I absolutely agree that our voice that sings and sounds like separate from our speaking voice is our birthright. We came here to use it. So I think I see the medicine. You're totally right. They are so amazing at guiding people to awaken this voice, because it's everything. They guide us home, deeply within ourselves. Deeply and beyond, to ourself and beyond. So if we come home into this body, which one of the things that this body is made to do is to sing, then it's natural that begins to awaken, because it's just waiting to. And then obviously the space facilitates that with these beautiful songs and people singing together in this shared prayer, and it being so far away from being about performance and you're a singer and you're not a singer and you've got a microphone and they only play on stage and everyone else just listens. It just dissolves all of these strange illusionary boundaries that we created in our culture here, because we lost our songs and we lost our way, where they were burned out of us, more like.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, what you mentioned, I feel was a really good point there, because myself and Stephen have been in a few ceremonies where different musicians will sing together, and there isn't that, like you say, here, and it just seems to go, just seems to happen, like a natural flow. There's no, for lack of a better word, there's no ego. There's no ego. It's just let's just go and let's make something really beautiful. So I'm really pleased. If anybody listening, by the way, if you've never heard any of Ayla's music, first of all, what have you been doing? And the other one is, please listen to it, and really so, because I can remember, as I said, we're not just saying this because we're talking to you, but you were one of the first artists that we came across on this medicine song route. Really wow. And some of the couple of songs that come to me, I hope you don't mind mentioning, are Follow the Light. Just love that. I could listen to it again and again, just lie back and and I know one of Stephen's favourite as well, my own Gypsy Soul.
I love that song. It really sings to me.
And I actually used one from your new album, the in a small ceremony the night, guiding and protecting, and that was and people loved it because
good.
and that's that lovely surprise of when nobody's heard it before, so you almost keep it to yourself and then you unveil it in the ceremony, and they're just on cloud now, they're floating. So yeah, it's really special, and I just want to say thank you for contributing and being part of sharing your music and sharing your voice, as well as many other artists as you could mention out there, and medicine song singers. So what I wanted to ask a little bit is, when we come back to nature, I know you do a lot in terms of the Amazon forest and in being able to plant the trees. I believe for your song, the Music, Plants and Trees, which is another lovely song. You haven't heard it, listen to it. And for each download, you planted 4 trees. Is that right? Have I got that right?
Yeah, it's unless people buy donate more for the song, 100% of the proceeds go towards tree planting.
And where does that happen in the Amazon forest?
I actually chose to work with the Tree Sisters, who plant in various places. They do work in the Amazon. They also work, I think, in Australia, in Africa. They're an amazing organisation that just work in a really beautiful way. They particularly support empowering women within the projects, and the way that they work is like they plant in a way that really ensures that the tree is going to be there. There's many reasons why I chose with them, but I have been also supporting Amazon Watch with a few other different things, and they're specifically the Amazon, and also working directly with Indigenous people, because that's a really important part of it, that we don't just go and kind of colonize with trees, and empowering the Indigenous, because of all the troubles there with the logging and the legalities, and it's a big mess, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you were very passionate, weren't you? We were all devastated when that big fire, several fires raged through the Amazon. And I know on your website, was it The Message of Water? You talked a lot about, feeling helpless, and we all felt helpless. But I think the message was there, I think one of the biggest things that anybody can do, is to plant trees, to encourage the regrowth of the trees that are being cut down. And you very strongly talk about that, don't you? That even though we might feel helpless, but don't be helpless, we can do something. And I think that's so important message, isn't it? That we can also to do something.
And to use that which we love and our creativity and our joy and our passion to do something like this. This was my inspiration when I wrote this Music, Plants, Trees, because I was like, oh my God, like I can't do anything. The Amazon is just burning. Like it was something like 1 football pitch, like a second or something like that. It was like, And then I was like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Okay, all I know I can do is I can write a song and write a song. And that then birthed this whole, it's a movement really, which I am envisioning of music planting trees, whether it's like concerts, album sales, this or that, but it moves on to like anything can plant trees. So whatever we do, whatever it is that we're here to do, we can combine it with giving back to the earth, to the point that everything that we do, we automatically give back to the earth in one way or another. It doesn't have to be planting trees. It's just, this for me is something that I've just caught onto, that feels like very direct, very effective and very important thing to do. But whether I have a friend who started doing yoga, plants trees. She's a yoga teacher, and she's like, oh, wow, I'm going to do that. Or whatever we sell or whatever we buy, we just automatically are giving back through our joy. I think it's also that it doesn't, the kind of charitable causes, it can sometimes feel like, oh, I'm going to give some money because I feel like really bad, or I feel a bit guilty if I don't. Like, no, like how do we like do it with so much inspiration that it's actually really exciting, and therefore it inspires really can inspire other people, and that ripple will be probably more effective than the kind of direct funds that we raise.
Yeah,
it's the power of education, isn't it? It's the power of inspiration and education, teaching the next generation and our generation the importance of and using your wonderful gift, and how it can move and inspire other avenues and how it spreads. And I think the beauty that me and Chris have found of the importance of building that community, bringing, you know, we're all one race. You know, people talk about different races, but we're just one race. We're just one. And I think it's about building that community, getting us all together, because the earth is us and we are the earth. So we are part of nature. Nature's part of us. And I think, yeah, it's amazing what you do. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, in terms of your music, do you feel it's what I don't know, everybody puts it in different ways, but do you feel it's part of your soul purpose in this life, in this incarnation?
So you actually broke up, it just went crackly. That was the first part of that I just heard. Do you think it's part of your soul purpose in this life? What was the first?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It's whether you feel it's your sole purpose with your music in this life, or one of your purposes of reincarnation.
I mean, absolutely, without a doubt, I feel that.
I know it's a no-brainer, but I had to ask it.
It took me a while to really arrive into it. Definitely, like I would say, only within the past, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6, 7 years, something like that, to really like kind of step into it. And I guess I am continuing to unveil what I feel that means, because I see there's it's like not just one layer. And I think we probably all will find that when we follow our calling and our soul purpose, it's like it's a path. The soul purpose, I don't feel it's an arrival place. It's not like, oh, I'm here now in my soul purpose. Sure, I think there is a stepping into. It's like stepping into the body. Like, okay, I'm in the body of my soul purpose, and then it's like, okay, now I walk my soul purpose, and that means that the path can go in different directions. I'm sure there'll be, like, the music plants trees is a good example of, like, that's something that has unveiled itself as I walk this path, and I'm sure more things will grow. It's like a flower will bloom there, or a certain thing may develop, because there's also the workshops and the voice work that I do, and women's work, wombs work. There's more, there's other layers. It's like a flower. The soul purpose is a bit like a flower that like blooms, and there's more petals that unfold. And that's the beauty of it, that it's like nature is ever growing and ever changing, and it's like we can't get bored.
Yeah, I think it's like you say, we can't just hang our coat on one hook and say that's it, soul purpose done. It's not, there's more to it. But yeah, there's much more to that experience, and yeah, I just feel something that you mentioned there, working with sisters and such, and we've spoke about it on quite a few of our videos, of the importance in sort of the rise of the feminine energy coming back. So I don't know what your feelings are on that, where there's been in our sort of recent history that sort of repression a little bit, and where it's needed to be bringing back, it's needed to be rebalanced in the world, that feminine energy being brought back in.
Yeah, I think the first thing is to really remind ourselves when we speak about feminine and masculine, that it doesn't just mean women and men.
Yeah,
absolutely. We always say that all the time.
We have to remember, because sometimes we can have our kind of own reactions. I also could sometimes have a bit of a reaction to like women's things that are a bit too intensely women, and it's kind of feels there it's not balanced, like it goes too much on the feminine. And like the key here is about returning to this balance, isn't it? That is this whole of creation is this masterpiece of balance that is like moving with it, with each other. And for me as a woman, I can just speak like my own personal journey of understanding what that means for myself. What does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean when people talk about the power of woman, or the power of the womb, or I am a giver of life, or all these things are easy to say in words, but like how we each as a woman or as a man can get to know the essence of both energies within ourselves, of the masculine and the feminine. I feel like something I learn is like the power is there where the two energies meet, because like that makes life. Like
Yeah.
woman doesn't make life on
Yeah.
her own. Like it's woman and man, it's masculine and feminine, where they meet. Like that's the fire, that's the spark, that's the inspiration, that's the creation, and that's the potent magic. And I guess why there is a bit more like the kind of women's movement or the feminine movement is really like it's like a really strong flowing river now, because of what has happened to women. I mean, this was like, I think I was in my partner's Swiss, and in his town there's the last witch was hung. There's like a sign where the last witch was hung here, and it's something like 1910 or something like that. I was like, what? Like that's like not long ago at all.
It isn't.
So it's the feminine way, the revival of the feminine qualities, I think can really be like a beacon that guides us in a direction that feels like the right direction, along with the masculine energies. But it's like this softness, this intuition, this listening, this unconditional love, like all these words that you would put to the quality of the feminine, of the mother. Like without those qualities coming back really, really strong, we kind of don't have much of a chance here. In the same way, if we went too extreme to the feminine, we also need that like the fire and the action and the vision and the focus of the masculine energies.
Yeah, it's that keeping that balance, like you say, and it's something myself and Stephen have spoke about often, where the masculine and the feminine, people go to it's who you're attracted to, and it's this and it's that, and it's beyond that side of it. We all have that within us, the masculine and feminine, but it's keeping it balanced, not letting one override another.
So I would like to ask you a question as well. So what do you think? Obviously you're aware what's happening in the world, and we feel that there's a great awakening. There is a great awakening of consciousness. More people are questioning and they're awakening. So what, in your own sort of thoughts and with the use of your music, what do you think, what's your thoughts about the future of humanity? Is there still hope? I know there's still hope, but what's your thoughts on the future for humanity?
So I actually only got about half of what you said, but the essence, you asked me, what's my thoughts on the future of humanity? Right?
Yeah, the use of music, and there's a great awakening happening.
The use of music, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, it crackles a lot when you speak, so I have to piece it together. It's music as medicine, like to really acknowledge that music is more than just something that sounds nice that we can put on in the background when we're doing our cooking. Like when we allow and make space for music to be medicine in our life, which means bringing ourselves and our presence to it and being willing to receive the vibrations, the words, the medicine of that music into our being, which, as you guys will know, is not always comfortable or easy. then we actually are receiving the spirit. It's a spiritual force. Like music, sound is a force from the spiritual realm. It can also be a force that comes directly from the plants or directly from the river, directly from nature. Nature has this amazing way of communicating, of translating and transmitting its medicine to us through music, through sound, through song, through vibration. And this is becoming an amazing movement as people are beginning to switch on to this more and more and realize, like, I don't really want to listen to like music that kind of makes me feel, actually it makes me feel a bit weird when I listen to that. It's because it's a spiritual force, it therefore can guide us. So in terms of its role for humanity, for me personally, I have quite an emphasis on that music can help us to really feel within, because it's a language of the heart and the soul. It's not a language of the mind. It bypasses the mind. It goes into our body. It speaks, we feel it into our body. It's literally vibration. It vibrates our cells. But there's that mysterious magic of, you can listen to something and you just go, oh my God, I have tears on my face. I don't even know why.
Yeah.
And it's important that we don't know why sometimes. It's just because it is moving the waters within our own body. And I feel this first step of being able to feel, really, truly feel what we are, who we are, our sadness, our joy, our grief, our anger, our whatever, our numbness, our stuckness, is the first step towards being able to transform as humanity. Is one of the major obstacles, particularly of our Western cultures. Like, we've just have lost this language of feeling. Like, you say, how are you to someone in England, and you're not allowed to actually answer how you are. You just have to go, oh, I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, fine.
Yeah,
What the hell does
absolutely.
fine mean? Like, basically no one's fine. Some people are, but like, we are as we are, and being alive on the earth in this moment is really immensely challenging. And there is so much to feel. There is so much grief. If we don't feel grief when we look at the earth, then we're disconnected. Like, you can't really just be okay. You have to be fine now. It's a really strong time that we live in, and to be able to have that container that music offers us, that we can be at home, we can basically enter ceremonial space and be held by that spiritual force of sound and song wherever we are and in any moment. And it becomes a companion for our life. Like a song, we all have that, of moments where it's like, that song is one song that is the song for me right now.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
my friend, it's my companion, it's supporting me. I can lean into it. I feel safe. It gives me strength. It gives me inspiration, helps me get through my day. It helps me wake up. It's like helps my soul to be strong and to be in the light that we are. And yeah, the more that we feel, the more that we can heal. It's like to heal, we need to feel first. The more that we can heal and return to our state of wholeness and remembering our connection beyond ourselves to one another, our love for one another, our love for the earth, this transformation will unravel as we see it is within the circles. Amazing change is happening, and music is, it's like the soundtrack, can be part of the soundtrack for the amazing transformation that's necessary, has to happen, is happening, and has to happen.
Absolutely.
Wow, very inspirational.
I think the question is, though, the big question would be, because I so resonated with that. We have that song that just carries us through certain moments, and we're just listening to it all the time. So, do you have a song at this moment that's like that for you?
Ooh, Ooh. Let's think. There's a few.
Yeah.
Do you know, actually at the moment I'm quite into I'm really into this lady, I don't know how you say her name, Sonia Jabote or something like that. She plays the kora, and it's not in English words.
Yeah.
And something about I think the kora is for me it feels really of the sound of the ancestors. It's really magical, watery, and this for me right now, not understanding the words is a good medicine for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to understand them, and sometimes to just enter that, like it's like being wrapped up in a blanket where it's just like it just is. So I don't know if there's a specific song, but listening to her, and also Zeku Keita, which is also kora. So like it's the medicine of an instrument, also of a particular instrument.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I think we can, and it's incredible with music that isn't in a language that you can't understand. You can still feel it. You can just feel it.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's can be even better because our mind is not able to. Like it's both, isn't there? Because sometimes to understand the words is like you receive this key and something goes. It can be like magic because you understood in those words they were exactly the right key for that right keyhole. And then sometimes to not understand is.
Yeah, well, it's just been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Ayla, and meeting you. And I think some really profound message to everyone from this video, especially when we speak about giving back to nature. It's made me think. But I just wanted to ask you just before we finish off of what plans you have coming up, and what goals or what you see ahead of yourself or on your journey ahead.
Yeah, so I'm in a very particular moment of my life with my family, of having come to the south of Spain with a van that has like a little traveling home, and we're looking for a home, and that's in terms of goals. It's this dream and this vision to be able to really live with the land. And we've had to kind of come away from England because it feels more challenging to manifest that way of living, but that's just become more and more clear for me of my being. I need a home where I'm really with the earth, where I can step outside and I'm there with her, and I can have my garden, and I have the trees, and I can plant trees there. And so that's my main goal now. I mean, I've just launched my album, and you know, I could be saying, oh, I've got all these plans for kind of music or album wise, but actually I'm like entering a time of wanting rest and quiet, and to really nourish myself, because it takes a huge amount of energy to
I can imagine.
It's like giving birth. So I think probably the winter I'm going to go be a bit more quiet, go inwards and focus on my family and finding my home where I can grow some roots and really receive nourishment, and from there birth more creativity when it comes in its time.
Yeah, I think that's really inspirational, because I think we've all done that, haven't we? Even with myself and Chris, we work and we facilitate and we create, but we don't always take that time to rest. And you do feel so much better when you've rested, when you've grounded yourself, gone back within and recuperated your energy, and then you come back stronger and wiser and more inspired, so that music and that inspiration will come even stronger. But I just want to mention, I've just been listening to this morning the song Rose, and I think I've listened to about 30 times, and I absolutely love it. And we're holding tonight, we're doing a cacao ceremony. We're doing a cacao ceremony tonight, so we'll be playing some of your music tonight, because I think it's really, and I love the song with the drum as well. and you know, the beat of the drum, and it's just fantastic. So just keep on being inspired, because you're inspiring us and you're inspiring many people that I know that we're part of a spiritual movement community, and we're doing our part to inspire and awaken. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. You know, I'm so happy to hear from a man loving that song, because I just assume it must be only women listening to it. The Rose. That's really beautiful.
I mean, when you were
doing your. Oh, you go.
No, go on.
I was going to say thank you guys for doing your part of it, because this is what it's about, isn't it? Like we each are a totally unique shade of color. Like we each have to just go, what, like, where is it that my inspiration is all feeding into this great river, like many millions and millions and millions of tiny rivers all feeding into this river of awakening. So thank you guys also.
No, thank you. It's so important to remain your authentic self, and because I think in society with education, everyone gets put in a box, and it's so hard to step outside the box and be your true self. And that's something that we've learned the past 10 years. But when you talk about the feminine energies, I feel that within my own life that my masculine needs a lot of healing, because not only is the feminine being wounded, but also a lot of the masculine's been wounded as well, hasn't it? So I feel I feel coming up that the feminine energies is healing my masculine energy. So that's, you know, so you can turn it on a different angle there. So that's how I feel personally.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it just shows that when we talk about inspiration, it's like ripples, I think. So we just keep rippling out to each other, and hopefully, say for example, this evening, those who are going to come for our cacao ceremony, they'll be inspired and they'll go off and they'll find their part in it all. But I have to add, if you ever find yourself in Fleetwood, you're very welcome to join us. It's an open invitation.
You never know.
You never know. I just wanted to get that in, that's all. You know how to contact us. Yeah, we'll be open. So it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, Ayla, and I just wish you well for finding your home and your roots. And this time, and as Stephen said, please keep up the good work, and I know we'll do our part in passing it on as well. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much,
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.